Welcome to the Higher Energy Superpower. This is episode 16 of the Turbo Duo Cast. I am your host, Salvatore Mata, and to my left is my brother from another game show lover, Trenton E. Wright III.
Esquire, Esquire.
How are we doing today, Trent?
I'm just lovely now.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you're just doing absolutely fantastic. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. I'm just rearing and roaring to go.
Ooh.
Well, thank you guys for joining us today. We're actually going to be discussing, for our main topic today, a true classic game.
A main game.
That really bridges the golden era of games with sort of the new era of games, and that's Smash TV, or otherwise known as Super Smash TV, depending on the version that you're playing. There were three main ports to that game on the NES, on the Super NES, and on the Genesis, so we're going to be talking about the ports as well.
Not the IBM or the DOS version.
We're going to be talking about some of our memories of that game as well, both the arcade and the home versions, if we have memories about them. And we are action-packed here, so I think we should just get right into it, Trent. What do you think?
Boot it up.
Just right off the bat, and really quickly, I just want to talk about just an addendum to our last conversation about Doom. So I did get the copy of Doom on PS1.
Mm-hmm. It was solid.
More than solid. I mean, that is the definitive way to play that game from that era. So if you want a truly correct, period-specific game to play where it's not, from PS4 or Xbox or whatever, that is really the best version from that era of all the different ports that came out. That's the one you want to get. The controller, the PS1 controller, is perfect. You can actually modify the controls
with the shoulder buttons.
So you can actually strafe with L and R, and then you can shoot with. I usually change my shooting to be for R2. So it's got all the levels, it's got all the animations. But I'll tell you what, Trent. Even more than that, it actually makes me appreciate the 32X version. I know I keep going back to the 32X version, and the reason being is that as I was playing the PS1 version, although I thought it was amazing and really the best version, I didn't necessarily think that it was like light years above the 32X version. I thought it was
a slightly enhanced version.
It was an enhanced version, full screen. The controls are great, especially with the PlayStation controller. It's got all the levels, but it makes me appreciate what they did on 32X because I can still go back. I feel like even more so now I can go back to that game and have a good time and knowing I'm not getting cheated. There was like this little slight thought in my head, like, okay, was the PS1 version so far better that I was actually getting a gimped experience in like the level to level, the moment to moment gameplay, and I don't think that's the case. We were talking about what's maybe the best, cheapest way to play that game, and I still think that Doom 32X might be.
That's cheap.
At $15 or maybe even $20 complete.
Yeah, it's like $15-$20.
Where the PS1 version, you're gonna pay at a minimum $30, probably more like $40 or $45 for that game. If you want it complete. I mean, it's a CD. I would think you'd want it.
If you want the big box.
Well, the big box, big box
greatest hits version.
That's going to run a little bit more than I got the greatest hits version.
Yeah.
Had a little bit of eBay bucks.
Ooh.
So that helped out. That just means I spent too much money on eBay. But yeah, so but the PS1 version is definitely an awesome version of that game. One thing we haven't talked about is our experiences with Doom 64 after coming away after playing that game, and that game is balls to the wall. It is it is Doom as Doom can be from that early part of the 90s.
We had it on like the second to last difficulty, hardest difficulty.
Did we have it to this? I thought it was right in the middle.
No, we put it on the. Originally when I started, I put it on the fourth.
Did you really?
There's 5 difficulties. I put it on the fourth one.
Oh damn! No wonder we were having so much trouble in that level.
I know.
That game is harder than Doom, at least maybe from the difficulty. But it's more. There are more corridors in that game. There's less open areas. It seems like as far as the levels that we've.
It's in like a tighter, confined area.
It is. So it's a little bit more of a focused experience, and you have to be. It almost reminds me of because I played through Doom 2016, the one that came out for PS4.
Yeah.
And that game is as balls to the wall as you can get. You are I was sweating playing that game. And I feel like Doom 64 is like a midpoint between those, the first Doom and maybe like the newer ones where you have to be on your toes and you have to be ready to move. And those barons of hell can really cause a lot of damage.
I know, that was just, was that the 3rd level or the 6th level?
Something like that, 6th or 7th.
Where we played like 15 times.
Yeah, we got through it.
You had to like jump over those. You get to the end of the level, and then
you gotta hop over the
and then
the platforms.
you fall in. You're literally in complete darkness, and the only way to get out is
oh my God,
a stairwell
the
flat against the wall that you can't see, and it zigzags.
We got out, but we got out though.
No, yeah, no, it zigzags it zigzags up all the way.
You literally have to zigzag, but you can't see, so it's like, how do you?
And we turned like the brightness on your TV to 100, and
that
it was
helped.
like,
that helped a little bit.
I know,
a little bit. It helped. It helped us get out. Yeah. So I mean, what else can you say about Doom? It's actually gotten me to play a lot of the other games. It's really like, I hate to say this word or this phrase, but it's turned me on to.
Pause.
Like all of those classic first-person shooter games from that era, like I've mentioned, Power Slave, Quake, those they're just visceral. They're very straightforward and they're simpler, and I love that game style. So, one game that I do want to get after kind of doing all this research is I want to get Quake 2.
On 64,
either 64 or PS1, maybe even both, because I've heard that Quake 2 on 64 is actually a little bit different than the original PC Quake, where they were trying to emulate that more in the PS1 version.
Yeah.
Both of them do the multiplayer. I think they're both four-player split screen.
4 score.
So, I mean, can you do worse? You can do a lot worse than Quake 2 on 64 and PS1. It's amazing to me that they even got the PS1 version working as well as they did. I can't even believe that. It's like,
I don't believe it.
Again, it's like wizardry. Let's talk about show notes from last time, Trent. So we were talking about WCW games on PS1. We had mentioned 3. Did you know what were the other games? There were 2 other games.
Indeed, I do.
Were those? Which ones were those?
WCW Mayhem and WCW Backstage Assault.
Nothing gets by you when it comes to
by EA Sports.
Nothing gets by you when it comes to wrestling, is it? Is there?
Yeah, there's a few things.
And I think the games get worse as you go.
Well,
right, because you got Versus the World, which is 96, and you got Nitro, and then Thunder, both in 98,
yep.
And then Mayhem in 99.
Well, then it went back up a little bit.
Oh wait. So which one was the
Mayhem?
worst?
Oh, Thunder's it's almost not even playable.
I have to get this game.
I know, right?
We should just check out footage of it.
I think I have it on PlayStation.
Oh my God, we gotta play.
I forgot.
This.
It was funny. I was in the attic today, and I think I do have it.
You have to have it. You have like every single one.
No, but I mean, I didn't have a PlayStation back then. Or
how many wrestling games are there on PS1? Because remember we got that SmackDown one, and then there's SmackDown 2.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And there's Raw and Attitude, ECW. There's
Wow.
Power Move Pro Wrestling, which is really good.
Yep.
But what were we saying? Oh, Thunder's like the worst one, and then they switched companies, and then EA took over, and Mayhem, which was a solid game. It's not amazing.
Wait, is that the one that you have on 64 as well?
Yeah, in the box.
That one
it's got Goldberg on the front.
It's simple, but it's actually pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, considering it was like EA Sports, like their first time making a wrestling game. From
I
the
was
ground
expecting
up.
it to be trash, like
Oh, yeah.
absolutely terrible.
I think everyone.
So you have
had,
you have it on PS1 and you have it on 64?
No, I just have it on 64.
Just on 64.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that kind of came back. I was like, all right, it's pretty solid. The thing is, it's like, I think No Mercy was out at that time, or they had already made the other engine.
Oh,
on 64,
the AKI engine,
Revenge, and like all them had already came out. So it's like, well, this is the best. So still want to play that.
Yeah.
But Mayhem was pretty good, and then like Backstage Assault was like, oh yeah, you know how you like wrestling in the ring? Not anymore. No rings.
You know how that's like the main thing? Yeah, we're just going to get rid of that.
Yeah. The game nobody wanted.
Nice. Well, I was doing some research on it because I knew you mentioned that Versus the World was good, and I realized that AKI, which made all of the 64 games that were so great, going up through No Mercy, this was the only game that they made on PS1. It was the very first in that line of games. Was
Makes sense.
Versus the World. So it's early. It's really primitive. The characters are tremendously blocky.
Yeah.
and it doesn't have like the advanced grappling system of those other games like Revenge and World Tour and WrestleMania 2000. But it actually it's the same engine, and the move sets and all, like how you pull off moves is pretty much the same.
It's a solid.
Which is, I think, maybe why I remembered that so well. But there's actually like the roster, like the lineup, is really impressive for that first game.
And now your starting lineup.
Because in addition, it's versus the world, right? So in addition to the WCW crew, there was like secret characters. Now I don't know if Paul White was in WCW in '96.
Yeah, he was. He didn't come over until like '99 in the WWF.
Okay. Well, he was like a secret character in this game. I don't know why, because if he was a part of the regular roster, why would he need to be secret? But so Big Show, Jeff Jarrett is a secret character. Masahiro Chino, I don't know any of these people, in an NWA shirt.
Well, should be Masahiro Chono, but maybe they changed the name because they couldn't get him.
Oh, maybe it is Chono then. Maybe I just didn't
unless I remembered wrong. Unless there's like another Chino, but I'm pretty sure it's Chono.
No, it's probably Chono. They've got Hulk Hogan and Sting in their old skins, so it's got like Sting from like with the blonde hair.
It's got the red and yellow Hogan.
Yep, and that as well. It's got a guy named Tiger Mask.
And it's like, he's American man.
We've talked about this. I kind of like that song better than.
Oh, I do too.
It's just more. It's just way more like.
Yeah. He's got the red, white, and blue running through his veins.
It's got it's like that over the top like vocals and like guitar.
He was born and raised in the USA.
Oh my god, that's such a great song.
I think Jimmy Hart like wrote that song.
Yeah, he did a lot of that stuff back in the day.
Kind of just want to listen to that now.
I kind of do. All right, we'll see you guys in a little bit. No, I was just kidding. Guys I don't know, but I'm sure that you do, like Tiger Mask, Bruiser Brody, Terry Funk.
That's for all the wrestling diehards that are into.
Great Suzuki, Ken Shamrock is in it. Even though I think you mentioned to me before he was
the New
in the
Japan
WWF.
is just a far superior product than the WWE or AEW right now.
The Powerbomb Master. I'm sure that's how like a lot of the wrestling podcasts go.
Yeah.
The Powerbomb Master, Scott Norton, Jushin Thunder Liger,
The God,
Gary Albright, Steve Williams, Road Warrior Hawk, the Dynamite Kid, and more.
and more.
I mean, I think that's pretty amazing to have all these guys from all these like New Japan, All Japan.
I don't even remember half of those like being in the game. I do remember the Hogan and Sting that you brought it up, but the other ones, I like Road Warrior. Maybe I just never unlocked them, or because I never owned the game. I had only rented it, maybe like once or twice from Blockbuster.
I kind of want it now, so I think I'm gonna try to pick that up.
Yeah,
if I can, maybe
that should be a cheap game. I think
if the show goes on in September,
God willing.
Yeah. We were going back to Doom. We were talking about Doom. So the 32X version of Doom is the very first retail release of Doom, because the PC version didn't have a retail release until '95, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're ever in a video game trivia contest,
and that will never come up as a question.
What if it did? We know.
You had asked how much it would be to mail away for those last episodes if you did get the shareware version, and it was $39.99.
Did you have to do a check or money order though? Strictly, right? You don't just send your card in the mail.
Wait, could you put your credit card number on, like, I would never do that. But
yeah.
Could you put that on a slip and send it in?
They did that.
That sounds really stupid.
Yeah, I don't know how it worked. Do you remember when it was like bill me later? You would just send it in. I don't know if they would like call you.
I did that with an EGM subscription once, and
they just send you a thing.
They send you an invoice. Yeah.
And then what do you do if are they gonna come after you? I know they just
not.
They just won't send you any more magazines. But
yeah. Or maybe it was like after you got the first or second magazine, maybe they sent it to you, and then if you didn't pay,
they're like, please pay us, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, like bill me later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you just like check the box off, and then you would just send it in. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure back then, like it had it looked like a grid, the squares where you would write down the numbers.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what you'd fill. How else would you pay for it?
That's just crazy to me that
besides
people would be willing to like give out their like payment.
Besides mailing a check,
I'd rather mail a check. I think that's how we used to do it.
Well, I know, but I'm pretty sure you could.
I'm gonna mail cash.
Who do I make it out to? Cash.
And you could save anywhere in that game. You could literally save anywhere you want, and even in between levels. So,
you're like, we can do it anywhere.
So when you got the,
we can save you on.
no, so when you got the expansion, you would just pick it up right where you started, where you were at, even if it was at the end of the shareware version. You would just bounce right into the
bounce more goals
right into the second episode. The Saturn version of Doom was not multiplayer, as the box clearly states it is. So a lot of mistakes on that. And then Doom 64, Trenton, as you wanted for the building of hate for me when I claimed that it wasn't multiplayer, it in fact is not multiplayer.
That was a lie.
So you can suck on that. So that is, I can't believe, like, why is it that they would make that game not multiplayer? That just sounds like the worst idea in the world.
Because I looked it up, and allegedly they were working on it, and then Nintendo told them that they couldn't make it multiplayer. I don't know if they had ulterior motives or what. I don't know.
Was GoldenEye coming out, and they were like, we want that game to be multiplayer?
I don't know when. I don't even remember when Doom came out on 64.
97.
I think GoldenEye had already been out, or it came out in 97.
Maybe that's why they wanted that game to do better.
They wanted to be like the first multiplayer game.
I don't know. No idea. I mean, Quake 2 was multiplayer, and that was on 64.
Was that before though?
I think that was after.
Yeah.
I think so.
Maybe they did. Maybe Rare wanted to. They wanted to be like the first 4-player, like first-person shooter or kind of game like that. Who knows? It's all alleged.
Let's get into our modern retro moment, otherwise known as our "It's Still Real to Me, Damn It" moment. So, as we record this, everybody, it's May 9th, 2020, and in just 2 days, Trent, we're going to be celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Sega Saturn. Can you believe it?
Who's we? You mean you?
All in video game, classic gaming, hardcoreness. We're celebrating the Saturn's 25th anniversary.
You should just like take all your cases and just like lay them out all over the bed.
Just kind of kind of rub them a little bit.
You don't have to rub them.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the same though if you're just gonna sit there and lie on them.
Yeah,
there could be a dead fish on them, you know.
Yeah, well, you just like stack them all up and then just kind of like look through each one in sequential order.
I do that now.
In sequential order.
I do that every day.
With it's like you're pulling out the dictionary from your personal library. You got the little pipe in your hand with the glasses. You're like, that's a solid game.
So as a
25 years goes by so fast.
To pay homage to this, I can't believe it's been 25 years.
Pay homage, respect.
I mean, it's I've got a lot more gray hair than I did even 2 years ago, and it's their silver anniversary, so I think it all kind of like,
well, that's the reason,
makes sense. But I do want to share just like a short story about my first kind of recollection of seeing the Saturn like live in the wild. I honestly didn't even know that it had existed in the United States. And I could be pulling this directly out of my ass, but I hope so. But I do believe that it was December of '95.
It was a dark and stormy night.
Right after Christmas. That was like the best thing. Like right after Christmas, you get like your gifts, and in the Italian household, you'd get like gift cards, or you'd be able to return your stuff
to J. Crew,
and go to Macy's, get a Ralph Lauren, a hot shirt, looking fresh,
like a sweater, like a knitted sweater.
No. Like the button, you get the 3 button, like a polo.
Nah, with the sweater.
Sweater, huh?
With the little.
Is that what the emblem is?
Yeah, little horse guy.
That's the nose. That's the noise that comes from it.
Yeah, he's a doo-doo-doo.
It's like bling bling, but what the horse would make.
Yeah.
So it was probably like the day after Christmas, and I can remember I had gone to Babbage's because I wanted to pick up my copy of Virtua Fighter on 32X. I was anticipating it. So, and the copy that I got of Virtua Fighter was the one that had the VHS tape, the promotional video that told you about all the moves. To control Jeffrey and do a special move, you go forward, back, and spin the controller around, and he'll do his
Do they have Ving Rhames doing the?
That I don't know. That was like the voice. You can watch it on YouTube. They have the promotional video. You guys can see it.
Fall for more right.
He's so great. So it had that, and it had a T-shirt, and it had all the characters on it, and then it had the big like 32X logo in the back behind them.
Oh, that's what everyone needs.
Extra large, of course. It had to be extra large.
Well, they're only gonna make one size, so
Right. Right. They're not gonna have. Do you have the Virtua Fighter box set in medium, please?
Yeah.
I mean, by that point, of course, I didn't know, but it was probably already on the way out.
I always wondered that.
Clear them out.
All those things back there were always XL. It's like, really? Like, can we just go a large? Can we just go in the middle somewhere?
That would probably be ideal, but they wanted it to fit everybody. But the problem is that even though it fits everybody, 90% of the people are going to be wearing them in bed.
Yeah.
So I can remember I was just kind of perusing all the how often are you in a video game store when you're a kid? So I was just like checking out all the stuff, and I turned to like where because in the old Babbage's there was a kind of like a area in the middle of the store, which is where like they wrung everybody out. So it wasn't like the end of the store and then like there's just the cashiers on the wall. This was like a circle in the middle that was
they had their little checkout island.
Yeah, it was like a checkout island. And so I turned to look at the checkout island, and there's this guy who's maybe 50 years old, and he's paying for something, and I'm looking at him, I'm like, what is that? And he had on the table,
boom,
this right here, which is the launch bundle of the Sega Saturn, and I was like, what is that? I saw the Sega logo, and I saw Sega Saturn, and I saw like the gray and the white stripes, and Virtua Fighter. I'm like, what the heck? Like, what is this?
What the F?
I thought Virtua Fighter was on 32X. What's going on here? And so, the guy, I'm sure he was probably buying it for his son. He was probably divorced, and maybe the kid hadn't come over yet, for his Christmas gift.
Gotta make him happy, damn it.
So he's out there, and it looks like he couldn't really give two shits about it. He was just like, I know he wants the Sega, and this is what we're doing. And so the cashier's like, okay, sir, so we have your system here. Here you go. Just to let you know, Virtua Fighter is a 2-player game, and it comes with one controller. So, can I interest you in getting a second controller because it's two guys kind of fighting on an arena? He's like, sure, throw that in. So he's like, okay.
But it does include unprecedented power.
Yeah. So he's like, okay. So anything else I can interest you in, sir? And he's like, he's talking about that shooting game. They got that shooting game, like he's like
Shooter McGavin's.
Like Virtua Cop. He's like, it's got a gun, and he's like, oh yeah, that's Virtua Cop. He's like, we have this copy here. It's $49.99, or we have this one, and this one comes with the gun. It's $79.99. I think that's. Don't quote me, but I think it was about $79.99. And he's like, yeah, throw that in. So he's got this, and I'm sitting here, and I'm like, what's happening right now? He's like, can I interest you in anything else, sir? He's like, yeah. He mentioned he likes sports games. You got any sports games? He's like, yeah, actually, we have this sports game right here. This is Worldwide Soccer. It's a soccer game. He's like, yeah, that's fine. Throw that in. So he's got this here. He's like, and he was talking about the racing game. I think he said it was Daytona. He was like, oh, that's Daytona USA, sir. Would you like that? He's like, yeah, throw that in.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
And I also think he had another gun, and then I think he asked for one more. I think he asked for Panzer Dragoon. So he had like,
it'd be like a deep cut for them,
But this is what I was looking at. I literally was looking at all of this just on the count, and I was like, what? I've never seen this many video games before, and this guy's purchasing all this at the same time. I think it was in the 500. I remember like staring at like the price, like the checkout, the screen with the green
the total price,
and it was like $585 or $550 or something like that in the 500s, and I was like, and this guy's not even batting an eye. He's just like, all right, good, you got everything. All right, here's my card or whatever.
He's just licking hundreds.
Yeah, he was just tossing it out. I was like, I'm here for Virtua Fighter on 32X. He's getting Virtua Fighter. He's already got Virtua Fighter in the box. Then he's getting this game. He's gonna end up like 5 games,
making you look like a sucker.
That's why I felt like sheepish, but I was like, I was kind of excited at the same time. It was just an amazing entry point to see like all of this stuff, and I remember thinking the Saturn logo was just so sleek, and it just the boxes looked so awesome, and you saw the characters, like even though the box art is whatever. To me back then, looking at it, and I actually do still think it's cool today. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. That was my very first exposure to the Sega Saturn. So
full frontal.
It was an unbelievable moment. I went home and played Virtua Fighter on 32X, and it was.
Forgot all about it.
I did. It was awesome. But I never forgot that moment. It was just striking. So happy 25th anniversary to the Sega Saturn.
We're so happy.
Why you got to rain on my parade?
Photorealistic 3D graphics. Blazing double speed CD-ROM.
Packed with 50,000 microchips.
47,000 colors.
Just a quick note. Streets of Rage 4 came out, and I have to briefly talk about that. I have not tried it. I don't have it. I don't own it yet. Shame on me. But if the reviews that I've watched are any indication, it is absolutely living up to Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3. Have you seen a review for it?
Yeah, I've seen a few. Like two video reviews of it.
So I think that's one we have to play. Obviously, we have to play.
Three generations deep in gangsterdom.
As they would say, they say it on the college campuses.
Yeah, out in the streets.
But yeah, so I'm really excited about that. I'm feeling like Sega's getting it right. Like they're doing things right finally. When you look at like the Panzer Dragoon reimagining or the remaster of it, and how that was positively received. And then you look at even Sonic Mania a few years ago. They're getting the right people to make these games again, and they're doing their franchises justice.
I feel like they should have did something for the other Streets of Rages before Streets of Rage 4 came out. Maybe just like put them all on one like kind of
compilation.
Yeah,
like it have to be a just like a release on this that probably wouldn't have like a
digital
hard copy.
No, I know,
like a
I'm
digital
saying,
release.
Just kind of put it out in the ether again. Kind of hype up
get people going.
Yeah,
that would have been a smart business decision.
Like last year or something. Kind of just put them together in a one like digital purchase.
But from what it looks like, the gameplay is like spot on to the old Streets of Rage games. Oh, that's really good. That's really good. Damn, I thought that was straight from the game. Oh man. So what do you say we talk about some Smash TV?
I'm ready to smash.
So Smash TV came out in 1990. It's an arcade game. It also had conversions on the NES, on the Genesis, on the Super Nintendo. Now, it was developed by Williams, who made a lot of arcade games. They made a lot of pinball games. And it was created by Eugene Jarvis, Mark Turmel,
good old Mark,
and John Tobias.
Ooh, now those names sound familiar.
So John Tobias went on with Ed Boon to create Mortal Kombat.
Get out of here.
Just a little game.
Get out of here.
Just a little game. And Mark Turmel went on to make NBA Jam.
Get out of here.
So we're talking about like video game royalty here.
We're talking about
between these guys
6 generations deep,
and possibly
in gamingdom.
Boy, I'm 3 generations deep in gangsterdom. 3 generations.
Possibly the biggest of the video game royalty is Eugene Jarvis. Eugene Jarvis made legendary games such as Defender, Robotron.
Oh yeah, Robotron.
Which Robotron is the precursor to Smash TV. And he also worked on the Cruisin' series.
You got to be here to cruise the world.
You're a Cruisin' guy.
Yeah, I love Cruisin'.
Would you say that Cruisin' is more like a Ridge Racer, like a rally game, or is it?
Is that a serious question?
How would you describe? Well, because it's a little bit, it's kind of its own thing in a way.
It's not. No, I wouldn't say Ridge Racer. Would you say Ridge Racer? No.
Or would it be more like a Daytona? Or it's? I mean, it's a street racing game.
I would say, if I had to pick one, that it's more like it would be Daytona.
Okay, so very arcadey.
Oh yeah. I mean, because Ridge Racer is more like.
But it kind of feels like Road Rash in a way.
Yeah, because Ridge Racers, you're kind of getting into like the braking and the kind of the power sliding a little bit, and where cruising is just fucking you just go.
So the games that are in like a Dave and Buster's right now that are racing games kind of maybe take their nod from cruising.
There is. Do you remember that game we played at Dave and Buster's? It was kind of like it was. I think
Fast
it was
and the Furious.
No. It was kind of like. Did you? I played it. I don't know. It's from Midway. I think.
Yes.
It's like
I know what you mean.
And it's
the
like
new
crazy jumps. And,
Yes.
And I think there is a new cruising out too.
Yep, I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, it's. I mean, it started as a racing game. I mean, arcade racer.
Yeah. So I don't know where to start here because let's start with the cruising thing because Eugene Jarvis actually owns Raw Thrills Entertainment or Incorporated or whatever, and they're the ones that do all of the new games for like Dave and Buster's. They're the ones who do all the racing games. They do all.
Oh, really?
The
well, that would make sense.
The new all the new shooting games that are out. His company is the one that makes those games. So it's like he's
still doing big things.
He's carrying forward the stuff he did.
It's the legacy.
Back in the 90s.
Tradition. It's history. It's the 4 horsemen.
Wow. I mean, when you look at Defender is the first scrolling shooting game. I mean, without Defender and games like Scramble, which came out right around the same time, you wouldn't have scrolling shooting games. I mean, I'm sure somebody would have come up with it, but
Yeah.
I think it gets that crown as the first game to actually be able to take something and not just be predisposed to whatever was kind of coming down the screen. You actually could move on your own volition and try to get around.
I'm never big into Defender. Wasn't really my thing.
No, I'm not a huge Defender fan. I love Milk Mine Defender.
What? What? I
Mine?
haven't seen that porn. I don't know what that is.
No, it came out like I don't know 5, 6, 7 years ago, and it's Defender, but you're cats and you are mining milk from the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, I'm out.
And you gotta save your feline friends and get the everything back to the milk refineries
This sounds sick.
while shooting fish. It's great. It's wonderful.
There's also a Defender on the Jaguar.
Oh no. So I want to talk about Robotron really quickly because
Robotron 84.
Robotron 2084, because it's an interesting story as to how Eugene developed the twin stick mechanic, because Smash TV gets its twin stick mechanic
Twin sticking.
from Robotron, and just the twin stick mechanic itself. I mean, you look at games like Geometry Wars, you look at games like Super Stardust HD, and pretty much any twin stick shooter, Alienation, all the Housemarque games, Dead Nation, all of these games wouldn't really exist if it wasn't for Robotron and games like Smash TV. And so Eugene Jarvis had broken his hand, his right hand. And so he was, at the time, he was really into Berserk. You know the game Berserk?
Yeah.
The old arcade game. It's a Atari game where you're kind of going through rooms and there's like the robots in there, and you got to kind of, you got to shoot them and kill them without getting hit and then go to the next room. So he was playing that game, but he was having a hard time basically shooting the guys with his broken hand. So he was saying, well, what if we modified it so we just had 2 Atari sticks, so that I could actually like hold and shoot in both directions.
Right.
And so that was kind of that bore Robotron 2084, and it became a massive hit, and the game was huge. So, that's basically where the twin stick shooter comes from, is from Eugene Jarvis's act. It's just funny how sometimes things happen that way.
Funny thing
where there's an accident or some kind of weird mistake that creates new growth.
You create a need for something.
Yeah, really. That's just kind of how it is. So, so there's a huge influence from Berserk to Robotron to Smash TV, and even Robotron X or Robotron 64. It's pretty much the same exact game.
It was a pretty good game, Robotron 64.
I love Robotron 64. It's fast paced. It's fun. It's balls to the wall. The only thing about Robotron, and I think this is one of the reasons why we don't really cover games from that era, is there's really not like an end game. I mean, you can get to like the whatever level is the end, but there's not really like a progression system. There's not, okay, I need to get to this place to get here to beat the boss. It's just you're going through rooms
Just
over
waves
and
and
over again.
waves.
Waves and waves. They're called waves, actually. So there's not a whole lot of meat on the bones, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But it's always better. Gameplay is king, as we've talked about, but it's always cooler when you can have like a purpose, right? So like there's almost like a story to it, right? You want to get to the end of whatever it is. Even Super Mario Brothers, you want to save Peach at the end, or Princess Toadstool. It's not just about running through random levels all the time. You want to actually clear it. Get to the end. So back to Smash.
Ooh.
So the year is 1999.
In the game.
Yep. People are bored of regular TV. They want more excitement. Game shows rule the day on syndicated television, and the stakes are even higher.
You know what? It sounds like a movie.
It does. Contestants either win big prizes or they die.
Big money.
Big prizes.
Big money! Big prizes! I love it!
I love it. They usually die in a pool of blood or pink mist. The game is influenced by Robotron and the movie
Running Man
with Arnold Schwarzenegger
Yep.
and Richard Dawson.
Oh, who could forget? What a solid guy.
That's a good like Friday night movie. You just want to
Running Man?
just watch something and just kind of just
Not really pay attention,
watch
it.
Yeah, watch some carnage and have something on that is just a lot of fun. I mean, he's gonna win. Is he gonna die and then that's it? It's over.
Gotta have that ending scene. It was like, yeah.
Yeah. The characters are in like gladiator outfits. They have like pads and like headgear and stuff.
It's like American Gladiator.
It kind of reminds me of American Gladiators a little bit.
Yeah.
Even like the characters,
Just because there's like jacked up dudes.
Even like the characters that are like you play as, they kind of remind me of some of the characters. I can't remember what their names were. I think I wrote them down here somewhere, but they kind of look like that. And that was one of the games we played a lot as kids too, was American Gladiators.
Yeah.
Well. The game takes a nod from Eugene's previous game, Narc.
Oh yeah.
For a couple of reasons. Number one is the main characters are red and blue in terms of their attire. And just like Narc, and then all the enemies just explode into like millions of pieces the same way that they did in Narc.
Just blood.
So he basically took kind of the presentation and sort of the graphical style in a way, the animation of Narc, and mixed it with Robotron. Took it, threw in a couple of drops of the Running Man, or actually a lot of drops of the Running Man, and
splashed the pot with it,
and just mixed it up.
Yeah,
in a pot
instead of like collecting like heroin bags. You're getting VCRs,
right? So it's still single screen gameplay, right? So you still have one area that you're playing in, but it's a game show. You're on a game show, and so every time you clear a room, you get to go to the next room. And what's cool about it is that when you very first clear the first room, there's sort of like a map that comes up, and it says, okay, here's where the boss is. You have to get through these other rooms in whatever progression you can to get to that boss, and then hopefully defeat that boss and get on to the next stage.
Yeah, you can kind of choose up and down, left and right.
Right, those would be the directions.
Yes.
I don't know what other directions you're going to go.
Hey, you never know.
You can go through the moon.
Sideways.
All in a daze. It has advanced power-ups and multiple weapons, so you can get like shields. There's like a shuriken shield that actually like
shield yourself and takes the enemies out.
Takes the enemies out. There's rocket launchers.
Spread gun.
There's bombs. So it's
gotta have the spread gun in every game.
Spread gun's huge. Always makes everything more fun to have a spread gun.
Grenade launcher, rocket launchers.
There's screen clearing bombs, so you can actually get a screen clearing bomb. You get this item, and just all the enemies just explode on the screen. That's the thing about Smash TV is the action is just so rampant. There's just guys everywhere. There's just
pause. Just swarms of guys.
They're just the action doesn't stop in that game. It really takes that nod from Robotron.
Yeah, because they're coming in from like all four doors can open up, and just is like 15 at a time will just swarm in.
Yep. There's
trying to hit you with baseball bats.
There's regular goons with bats. There's guys who are on tanks that are shooting at you. There's guys up on posts at the top of the screen that are shooting down at you. So there's a lot of activity going on. There's mines on the ground, so you got to watch out. You got to make sure you're not jumping on a mine. And you can go off the beaten path too. I mean, you don't have to take a beeline straight to the boss. You can actually go somewhere else and try to get extra power-ups or extra lives and do other challenges, increase your point score.
Just show up in a bonus level.
Right. And, so it kind of, you almost feel like you have more player agency where you're not necessarily pushed in one direction, where you actually have the ability to move and go into different places and kind of make that gameplay your own, where it becomes your game. That's the way you decided to play the game, not the way the game chose to push you through, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Choose your own adventure book.
Right. So I kind of see it as like a full adventure. And that's where this game separates itself from Robotron, is in all of these areas that we're talking about, with the bosses and with the player agency and the progression system and the map and the carnage in a way.
Total carnage.
There's so I mentioned the bosses. There's the first boss is Mutoyd Man, who's a big giant hulking guy
He's a son of a bitch.
who's a part of basically a tank, but he's a massive sprite. I mean, he's huge. On pretty much
like a quarter of the
every
screen,
version,
or maybe a little bit more,
depending on the version.
Yeah.
Yeah. The second boss is Scarface, who's basically just a head, and he looks like a super mutant from like Fallout.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's huge. And the next boss is the Cobras. There are two cobras that are shot out from the bottom of the screen. Yeah, the Cobras. The Cobras. And then spoiler.
Sounds like a slang for just like two guys living together. Cobras.
I'm not gonna touch that. And then the end boss, spoiler trend, is the host.
Ah.
And let's talk about that host. He says some of the most iconic sayings ever in video games.
Ever.
Like, big money, big prizes. I love it. Or total carnage. I love it. I'd buy that for $1, which is basically taken from RoboCop.
Yeah.
The game show from RoboCop, which is kind of like that dystopian sort of, anarchy. Anything goes. Life is worth nothing type of a future. The prizes that you can get. There's little gift boxes that will just show up on the screen. You can get VCRs,
roadsters. You get toasters,
cars, which is probably the roadster, toasters, top quality luggage, a 2600.
So we're talking about American Tourister stuff, right?
Yeah, a 2600-inch TV, which is basically a silver screen from a drive-in movie theater.
Sure, it's not 26-inch.
2600-inch.
They don't even have that now.
No, and last but not least, a year supply of meat products.
Well, I mean, we could use that now.
Definitely. You can't go to any store and get any meat.
Can't even get a day's worth.
Yeah. Had the bikini-clad chicks in the
that's like
interludes, which is
the epitome of the 80s and 90s.
It reminds me of, remember Super Off-Road?
I was literally just gonna say.
Oh, were you gonna say that? That was like the thing in between each.
It was
level?
in Cruising too.
Oh,
remember
okay.
they're like
Yep.
like the 3-frame animation of them like waving the flag at the end.
Right at the end, yeah. I forgot about that.
That's like every game. There's just like there's got to be.
But that totally caters to like the tween, sort of young teen.
The twinks.
Boy. Yeah. It's like, oh my god, boobs, oh my god, girl.
Oh yeah, of course.
So
big money.
Yeah. Anything can happen on Smash TV. But yeah, the game has just an addictive quality. It's got simple gameplay. It's tight. It has that. It kind of has.
You're addicted to what the stick did.
It has that one. that one. I'm not going there. May I continue?
Go ahead.
It just has that one more time, that one more level. Like we talk about Doom, like it's like I gotta play.
I got it now. I got the pattern.
And that's how you know you're playing a good game. When you play the game and you just want to, even though you're dying, you're like, I gotta go back in. because it's just so much fun.
I gotta prove my worth around here.
But it's also simple enough where it's not gonna bog you down. It's pretty straightforward. You know what you have to do, and you just have to get better.
Just gotta fuck them up.
There it is. There it is. So there were 3 major ports of this game:
Major.
NES, SNES, and Genesis. Oh boy, what do we want to talk about first? Let's talk about the Genesis one first, because
Okay, that's fine.
before we recorded here, guys, we actually played all 3 versions.
Because the only one I had was the only one I originally had was the Genesis. Well, not originally, but that I already owned was
Recently.
the Genesis version.
Right.
Then I picked up the Nintendo version and the Super Nintendo version in the past week.
So the Genesis version was, and all of these ports were made separately. It's not like one was ported to the other. They were all made separately.
They all look different.
So I would say that the strongest quality that the Genesis has is
Graphics?
is the graphics. I think
That's what I was gonna say.
They're very clear. I think the sound is pretty clear too. You know, which you expect in a Genesis game. The roughest part though is the controls, because it does not have a twin stick mechanism, and it came out before the 4-player adapter. So you had to use a mechanic where you can move with the D-pad, obviously, but then you can either, there's 3 different options based on the 3 different controller buttons, and the one that we used the most was button C, which is where
kind of if you're holding forward,
locks.
you press if you're holding forward and shooting, and you press C, you'll just stay shooting forward until you press a different direction. And so you want to shoot down, hold C, and then it'll just lock into that.
Which
it's kind of
I had problems with that though, because it's almost like you're worried about switching.
Yeah, in the heat of the moment, you're like you just want to shoot.
It's such a fast-paced game where split second is like everything.
But I mean, it's the best they could probably do, like
without the twin stick mechanic.
Yeah, it's like this is how we're gonna have to do it.
Right, but then the problem was there is an option to do a one-player twin stick with 2 controllers.
Yeah, so we tried that, and I tried it first, and you were just like, yeah, just hold them like vertically, like you, or like the Nintendo version.
In the manual, it has the 2 controllers vertically with the controller D-pads on the bottom. So you're holding the controller.
You're holding them sideways.
Right.
So that's how I started, and then so I'm holding to move with the left and to shoot with the right, and then I we're literally starting, and it's like everything's like opposite. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I had to turn both controllers just like you would normally play. So I had to have my thumb on one and then my thumb on the other
sideways
stick, just holding it like a regular
setup,
like a regular controller, and just like I don't understand how they chose that as the it's not terrible, but in the heat when you're starting to play a little while, you don't have 2 hands on it, so it'll start to
readjust
slip.
yourself.
Yeah, it'll start to slip, and then you can't get like a diagonal, or your thumb kind of gets lost of where you're trying to which direction you're trying to go. Too. It's just like I don't understand why you would make that the way and not give like a option to at least flip reverse the controls or something.
Yeah, it seems like they kind of rushed it a little bit. The way I had to control it was I would put my right hand over the controller with the wire coming out, and I would put my thumb this way while this thumb was going this way.
Thumbs up like the Fonz.
And so I went one thumb down.
One thumb up the ass. And the other one is singing a taxi.
And so I would have issues where I was like, okay, well, where's I was almost like working blind, trying to figure out which
shoving
direction.
each other in.
Yeah. So it's not terrible. It's it suffers for that, and there's just it's kind of punishingly difficult. I mean, there are guys everywhere, and the sprites are bigger than other versions, and so it's
so it's like you have a smaller area to work with.
Maybe I don't know. There's just something about it that's
like the sprites themselves, the characters are a little bit bigger. I feel like it's the Sega Genesis version. Surprisingly, is like the more detailed version.
I think so. Like I said,
but it's not necessarily a positive.
I think it's redeeming. I think its redeeming quality is the graphics. I think it might. I don't know if it has necessarily the best graphics, but they're the clearest graphics because of the way the Genesis handles its graphics engine.
But sometimes that doesn't matter.
Yeah, so it would have been better. I think what would be cool is if you could do 2 arcade sticks, 2 Genesis arcade sticks.
So the only thing with that is,
but then they're gonna slip around because it's not
like
heavy
you
enough.
You gotta like mount them to like a table and stand up, which would be fine. But I mean, that's still like a lot of steps.
How far are we gonna go here?
It's like who's got 4 arcade sticks laying around? If they have the option.
Well,
to
two.
No, I'm saying if they had the option to do 4, like to do it like the Nintendo version.
They don't even have that option.
like it just it's like, all right, you just need a 4-player adapter, 4 arcade sticks.
So moving on, I think the most interesting port is the NES port.
Surprise, and it's not just like a throwaway port, because obviously that generation had already passed by the time the other ones,
right?
Because they all, I think they came out the same time, around the same time.
They all came out around the same time.
So you'd figure the Nintendo one, they'd probably just be like, "We'll make it. We're gonna focus on the Genesis and the Super Nintendo version."
Yeah, but. So the interesting thing about the NES version is that you can do 4-player or 4 controllers.
The NES version.
2-player, 4 controllers, and actually the control scheme works a heck of a lot better, where you've got 2 controllers with the D-pads at the top, and it works about as seamlessly as you can expect.
So I don't really have that many memories playing the game, but I only played it once or twice. My friend, either my friend Justin had it or he rented it, and obviously when you rent the game, you don't have the booklet,
right,
or the case. So we had no idea that was like an option to do. So
yeah,
we should have tried it just the regular way, without the using the two things.
Without I don't.
Which I think it
probably would perform just like
it's
the Genesis
yeah,
one.
I think it does. Like you have A and B. Like A shoots and then B will just hold your or lock your because I think
it locks.
That's the only way I remember playing it, was like shooting in one way and like running in just straight lines.
But it's night and day.
Oh yeah, when you have the two,
it's just so night and day.
And it actually plays really good.
It plays really well.
Real well.
I'm actually surprised at also the
sound, the voicing.
The voices were really good.
Yeah.
Like they were almost on par with the 16-bit counterparts, and also normally you see when there's like a lot of action on screen on an NES game, there's a lot of you start to see that flicker.
Yeah.
I didn't see a whole lot of flicker on the screen. The bosses are much smaller.
Yeah. So like the characters, they're tiny, but it doesn't like take away from the game at all.
But I'll take that, because remember, gameplay is king.
Yeah.
And the gameplay is phenomenal if you've got that setup with 4 controllers. If you don't, I'd say that
you just need the 4 score.
Then you have a little bit of an issue there. I think that even if it was, I hate to say this, but I think even if you had just the 1 controller and all you could do is the strafing with the lock on, I think it would still be better than the Genesis version, because the Genesis version, I feel like you can move around a lot more because of the size of the sprites.
Oh yeah,
I feel like you can move around the levels a lot better in the NES version.
Yeah, a little bit more range,
and the levels are varied. There's different sprites in terms of the outlines of the levels. The Genesis version has, and the Super Nintendo we'll talk about, has like the rafters, like the metal rafters, and you can see the parallax of like the level loading
rooms,
in, and so there's a little bit more advanced graphics there. But besides that, the gameplay is on point there. And I feel like
which is surprising.
You have the ability to move around.
An Acclaim game at the time on Nintendo.
I was pleasantly surprised with that port of the game, and so that was a lot of fun. And I got to tell you, so the NES box. Have you ever looked at the NES box before of Smash TV?
The front and the back?
Just the front of it.
Oh,
I don't know if you've seen it, but
it's not the same as the game label?
So it's the only version that was called Smash TV.
Oh yeah.
Of the 3, the other ones were called Super Smash TV.
Obviously.
But it's right on the box. It says it offers double fisting action. And I wasn't gonna mention this. I wasn't gonna mention this. But, well, I used to date a girl.
Oh boy.
Back in college, who liked to experiment with
the fuck.
With
Smash TV,
a little double fisting action while we were playing this game, and I gotta say she was always left satisfied with the experience.
Are we talking about Nintendo?
So the Super Nintendo port.
Yes, the reason why we're all here.
So this is the one that most people talk about when it comes to
In the streets.
the home ports, yeah. And I think in terms of presentation, in terms of the graphical style and fidelity, I think,
the fidelity,
and all the different little pieces that are in the game, the different icons. I think it mostly resembles the arcade game out of the three.
Oh yeah, definitely. It feels like it had a lot more sound effects in it too, with the voices and the kind of even the characters like talking in between. Like
you hear a lot of
when
woo, yeah.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of that in between level. If you pick up a certain item, you hear somebody yell, or it's almost like the audience is kind of involved.
Yeah.
Where the Genesis version, if we're comparing those two together, you're not hearing that as much. As I don't even remember if I heard it at all.
Yeah. And then this one, I like the music. It's pretty much the same tracks in all three games. But I like this is like one of the ones where I like the music better on the Super Nintendo, as opposed to like the Genesis version. And
those graphics are just fuzzy though.
Yeah, but I just think like even like the shooting of the guns and like when you're shooting the enemies and blowing them up, it's
the animations look a little bit more.
Oh, I was just talking about
full.
I was talking about the sound.
Oh, okay.
Even just the sound, like the shooting of the guns and when you're shooting the enemies and blowing up, it's got like a nice like thud pounding kind of sound,
which is not typical. Usually that's more of on the Genesis.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they just really put their heart and soul into the Super Nintendo version.
I think, like I said, I think the Super Nintendo version best emulates the arcade version. Like if you're trying to look for like in terms of the presentation, the graphics, the sound, if you're trying to go for like a more arcade perfect version of that, you want to get the Super Nintendo version.
And because the controller's perfect for it. You move around with the D-pad, and the way the buttons are laid out on the Super Nintendo is 4 buttons, so up, down, left, and right.
See,
and
I have a little issue with that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do, because it's almost like the Switch controllers where they've got the directional pad is like 4 buttons,
and then the other one's a little diagonal.
Instead of being a solid directional pad that you can kind of tilt. Because of that, if you want to shoot in a diagonal position, you have to hold down 2 buttons.
Yeah, I don't know.
I had a little bit of an issue kind of getting to.
You ain't got them big thumbs.
Yeah, well, you're a behemoth. So I was having issues getting to those other parts to be able to shoot. So sometimes I would get kind of crossed up. So
it didn't bother me.
Yeah, so
at least with that.
And again, the Super Nintendo, like the Genesis one, is just punishingly hard.
It wasn't that bad until you get to the boss.
Well, Mutoyd Man was the hardest in that.
Holy, we went through like 5 lives and it continued and the way I don't know. The Mutoyd Man in the Super Nintendo version is definitely way bigger and
better animation like that.
Yeah, and his like
absolutely.
His projectiles and his like X-ray or whatever his like X-ray vision eyes.
Yeah,
it shoots
the lasers.
Like, his
lasers coming out.
Like you can't get close to him because it shoots like halfway across the screen. So, and then the other thing is I don't know if I noticed it on the Nintendo or the Sega version, but your regular gun doesn't do.
But they bounce off. That was actually a cool feature in the Super Nintendo version where they actually showed the main gun,
but did
bullets bouncing off of him.
Did in the Nintendo and Sega version does your bullets do any damage?
I don't think so, but it doesn't show them bouncing.
Because this is the only one I noticed. I'm like,
because they weren't flashing in those other versions either.
Oh, really? Yeah, because I was shooting them with the regular gun, and then they literally your bullets just bounce off them. So what makes it harder is the power ups, and then usually the power ups are literally right in the middle of the screen, or he's like rolling over them, and you can't get close to him.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to get to the power up, but you don't want to. And he's huge on that screen.
Yeah,
he's absolutely massive.
But I think I'm glad we played it the way we did. We played the Nintendo first, then the Sega and the Super Nintendo version, because it kind of like progressed. Well, I mean, not really progressed, but the Super Nintendo version is definitely, I think, the best version. It was actually the only version that I was like, I want to keep playing like more. I think the Nintendo version was fine. Like we got through the first like set of levels or whatever, beat the first boss, and we did it on the Genesis version. But the Super Nintendo one was like, all right, I just want to keep going.
Gotcha.
I just like the control. I like the control better than the twin D-pads on the Nintendo one.
Okay. Yeah. I guess
it's still. I mean, it's like playing I guess if you're freehand Switch, if you're holding 2 Joy-Cons,
right?
It's still like you're holding 2 Nintendo controllers, so it's still kind of a little awkward when you got.
Well, they're not ergonomic for your hands like the Switch controllers are. So
Yeah.
you're holding a bigger controller still while you're doing that. So you have to be able to hold it and then a Nintendo controller sideways.
Yeah.
To do that, I think.
But just the fact that they had.
It's the only game on Nintendo that does that.
Yeah, the fact that they actually like went, above and beyond instead of just like, all right, you got the controller and you lock it with this button. It was like, all right, we'll give you the option to do that.
Yeah.
Like that literally makes the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, I like you. I kind of put the Genesis version kind of at the bottom,
which is weird, right?
Of the three,
it's just the control, really.
It comes down to that, but I think the other thing too, and this is where we disagree, is the Super Nintendo version. The difficulty kind of is a little bit of a turnoff because it's so difficult to get through. You're dying so fast. You only have 2 continues, so to get really great at that, it is going to be difficult to be able to get through that whole game, and which is not impossible. But then when you add in the control scheme for somebody like me, and with the 4 kind of like open buttons, it becomes harder. And so for that reason, even though the game is most like the arcade game, I still would go with the NES version because I thought that the difficulty was fair. I thought we were getting through that pretty
fair.
well. I thought the control scheme was my favorite out of all of them. Having that solid D-pad to be able to shoot with,
Real solid.
I was having no trouble. Like I immediately jumped into that and I was like, "This is awesome! Like this is so fun! Like I just want to keep playing this game." I feel like we can get through it. Now maybe we could blow through that game really fast and then it would be over.
Yeah.
So I'd have to spend more time with it, but just like off the cuff, like
Off the rip.
I'm blown away. I'm blown away by the NES version of Smash TV. I can't believe it's an amazing game. I think if it comes to like recommendations for this game, I think pass on the Genesis version.
Yeah, unless I don't know. Unless you just want to see what it's, you just want to see how it plays.
Yeah,
for yourself.
And then I would say go for either like the Super Nintendo. If you don't mind the idea of the buttons being separated on the Super Nintendo controller and being able to shoot in a diagonal with quickly moving to 2 buttons, then try that version. But I don't. And then
just remember,
you can go wrong with the NES one either. If you can do that control scheme, if you can't, then I would go with the Super NES version.
Yeah, because you remember you need 4 controllers and you need a 4-score 4-player adapter.
So, just finishing up recommendations. So, what's because I don't know what's the cost of these games.
I picked up the Nintendo one.
We do Nintendo Loose. We do Genesis Complete, or with the box.
Oh, so Nintendo, I got it for $11 shipped on eBay, just a cart by itself.
I would say that's a no-brainer. If you have the 4-score
and 4 controllers
or
just get it. I mean, it's $11.
Yeah, but
and
I would say that is a no-doubter, Bob.
And then I know the cart for Smash TV on Super Nintendo is around
$25-$30.
Yeah, it's around 30. I mean, I just happened to get it for 20, and then it was like my first purchase on Mercari, so I got a $5 off, so it only cost me $15.
Well,
so you're talking around around $30.
Okay.
The Genesis one, I don't know offhand, but I feel like I got that. I think I got it at one of the game shows, either last year or the year before, and it was probably $15.
Okay.
It doesn't have the booklet, so you might be looking at like $20, $25 for like if you want to complete a cart's probably just $10.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of would avoid it because I think there's these other ports out there, so I wouldn't even.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't
mess with it.
It's unless you just need to have the game.
I would get.
There's really no need. There's really no need to get it.
I would get either or both of the Nintendo ports, I think.
Yeah, because I mean, they're almost like, I don't want to say completely different, but just the way you play is different. Obviously, Nintendo's going to look a lot different than the Super Nintendo version. Oh.
Now that I'm thinking of it, do you think it's possible where you could take like, I don't know, some kind of like a cross and put it on the, like some kind of like a little emblem and put it on the other, like the other side of the Super Nintendo controller, just to kind of create some kind of continuity between the buttons?
Are you fucking kidding me? Jesus Christ. Put like cross 2 toothpicks. So
Yeah, just something where you kind of create it, some like kind of Maltese cross and just throw it on there. I don't know. I feel like that would improve the control scheme of that game a little bit more. But again, it's my thumbs, not yours.
Yeah.
But maybe if I played that game a little bit more, I would get a little bit more into it in terms of the intuitiveness of the controls.
Yeah. So the Genesis version, the loose carts like $13 or $15, and then in box around $25-$30.
I mean, if you really like games like this, if you see it for $10 or $12, pick it up, I guess, for the Genesis version. But
just to see how it, if you want to compare it for yourself.
I mean,
maybe.
I think $10 for the NES version. If you want like an easy bet, if you want to get the experience of Smash TV, and maybe you're not sure, if you're gonna want to keep playing this game, I think the NES is probably your best bet in terms of an entry point. Just to kind of get the feel of the game.
Yeah.
Unless you do come across the Genesis version. But right now, the NES version is my favorite one. And just also the appreciation for how they actually made that game work on the NES.
Yeah.
And actually got it to perform actually in a more than functional way. I'm really impressed with the NES version.
That's what I was saying before. I was like, I'm surprised it wasn't just like a throwaway port, since they were more focused on the Genesis and the Super Nintendo.
No, that game's phenomenal. So I'm really impressed with it. And just the Super Nintendo one is just really hard. I mean, that's the only problem that I see with it, is being able to get through it. Because
it wasn't that much. I didn't think it was that much harder until we got to the boss. Okay, but because I don't remember dying too much, like just in like the 5 stages.
But we used 2 continues on
the boss.
So what happens when you get to the next level, which is only the second? There's 4 full stages.
Well, I'm saying I guarantee if we went back and played it now, we would probably do a lot better.
Okay, maybe.
Now that we know what we're dealing with.
Drink a little bit more water. Smell like ammonia in this bitch. Come on, there you go. One at a time, player. One at a time. Busy right now, working with a monster.
Working with a monster.
It's a great game. Play this game if you guys can. If you see it out. If we ever are able to be out again.
Yeah. Be out and about.
Yeah, but check out gameplay footage if it looks like it's something up your alley. I think $10 to $30 depending on the version.
If you're looking for the Nintendo version, don't do I mean, I guess you could do if you're into emulators, but then
we're purists here. We're full original hardware here.
You got to stack in like a 2 USB controllers.
No.
Do all that.
Get the 4-score. 4-scores aren't that bad, right? I mean, they're not that expensive. $20?
I don't know. I don't think I definitely don't own one. I have the 4-player adapter on the Super Nintendo and the Genesis, but not on the Nintendo.
I think it's kind of vital. It also adds like extra cord length, so you can.
Does it work on the top loader? Do they set the controllers with the same way?
No, they're still up.
They're still the same way?
Yeah, I think so.
I was just wondering.
Do you have a top loader?
No.
Oh, right.
I just didn't know, like, if they like the control ports were like a little bit different.
Oh,
then it wouldn't fit.
Because there's 2 of them like locked together.
Yeah, it's not like 2 separate like cords you just plug in.
Yeah, so I mean the 4-score is kind of key too, because you can like in my room I can sit on the couch and I can play on the TV because I have the 4-score. If I didn't, even if it was just a single player game.
Oh, it's like like an extension cord almost.
It's an extension cord in addition to, because it's got like I think like 4 feet. So it actually,
really?
Something like that, yeah. So it really helps out when it comes to wanting to sit on the couch.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think anyone I knew had a 4-player adapter for any system back then.
I don't think that thing came out until 1990, 91 maybe.
Oh well, I mean,
it came out late.
Yeah,
relatively.
I just got like my Nintendo at that point. I don't even remember like what 4-player. I mean, there was like Off-Road and World Cup Soccer and this.
I think that if you were like,
older,
if you were older and you kind of like maybe you were in high school,
you had
or
your
whatever,
own money,
and
you would go out and
you
get
had
one.
your boys were coming over,
your mans and them,
yeah, and it was like the is it Kings of the Beach? There was
yeah, that's Ultra, yeah. That was probably.
I don't know if it was Kings of the Beach or there was another. Both of them were good. Both of the volleyball.
Oh,
games
Spike
were good.
Volleyball. That was 4-player because it had like the Nintendo 4-player logo on it.
V-Spike Volleyball
Yeah.
is an awesome game. That is an awesome game.
Kings of the Beach was Ultra, which was I think it was still pretty good.
I think that's a good game too. And then
Maybe we'll
World Cup.
we'll get down the road. Yeah, World Cup Soccer. I love that game.
That's another 4-player, right?
Yeah.
So many good NES games. God, man, I love it. So memories, Trent. Any memories of Super Smash
I
TV?
kind of mentioned the only version I had played growing up was the Nintendo version. Like
NES?
I said, yeah.
Oh.
Like I said, we didn't we had rented it. Oh yeah, so we had rented it, so we didn't have the box or the manual, so we didn't know that like the 4-player, like the way you could play with the twin sticks was a thing. So
Right.
it was pretty much just it was just the normal way with the AB and like lock on and play it like that. But it wasn't really like a game that like I don't remember ever seeing in the arcade. Well, I mean, wasn't really old enough at that point to just like go to the arcade. I think did we play it or was that Total Carnage we played like last year or the year before at the expo? Or I mean, at least I played. I played it.
I think you played it. It was Total Carnage, yeah. Which is more like a Mercs.
Yeah,
almost.
because you're kind of moving,
Yeah.
not like a room to room kind of thing.
Supposed to be the sequel, but it's
a different.
it's in almost a little bit of a different thing because it's a more of a top down. You're moving up almost like Akari Warriors or Rambo First Blood Part 2 or Guerrilla War or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit, and I don't think it does that as well as those games do. You know what I mean?
That's a hard game too.
What?
Total Carnage.
Yeah. It's got the same presentation, the same style, but
Yeah.
it's just a little bit different. So
Yeah, but that was like pretty much my only. And he had rented it like once or twice. I don't think he owned it, but that was the only time we pretty much played it. It was. I remember playing it. It was fun back then, and I just remember we were like, why can't you only shoot in like one direction like at a time? And it's like you're literally like just going around in like a square, like shooting the same way the whole time, or like you turn around and shoot. So
it makes the games way less enjoyable. It's like that.
So that's why there wasn't really much of a memory of it until like recently when it came. I was like, oh yeah, Smash TV, man. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean, my memory of this game is actually more in the arcade than anything else.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you had played the arcade version.
I did. So close to where we live here, there's a roller rink called Ronna Roll.
Oh, we're on a roll.
In Vernon, Connecticut. And so sometimes we'd have like birthday parties and stuff like that over at the roller rink. Talk about an antiquated thing, like a roller rink.
The fuck's a roller rink?
Yeah, you can't get the cigarette smell out of the carpeting on the outside of the rink.
Yeah, same with the bowling alleys.
It's literally like bowling alley 2.0. I just remember it was like you had to have your Mac on ready. At the roller rink parties. There would be girls out there, and you'd be like, I just hope I don't fuck it up enough. I hope I can like just do a couple laps around this thing, not slam into any walls and fall, and then I'm getting off, and then I'm getting some pizza. And there was pretty much like one arcade machine there, and it was Smash TV.
Of all the arcade games to have, like a fucking roller rink, Smash TV was the one they had.
Yeah, that was Smash TV. It was probably this is maybe a little bit later. I mean, this is maybe 94, 95.
Probably got it on a discount.
Yeah, maybe. But I remember just like the action of it, the sound, the voices, the big money, big prizes, and the woo, yeah, ooh.
Yeah.
You kind of hear that emanating from the machine, and it would kind of draw you in, and just the amount of characters on screen at one time, you were like, damn, this is serious,
The blood and guts.
So I don't have a huge history with Smash, but I just remember that was a fixture in that roller rink. It was like once you got off the rink, and they had like this little nook area where you could get like a pretzel or a pizza or chips, with the cheese sauce, and you'd be like eating your snack or whatever, but then like the machine would be calling to you. It'd be over there,
free play mode, just going by itself,
and be like, okay, like let me, if I can, I got $3. what's the cheapest thing on here? Maybe I'll get the chips.
I want my chips with the dip.
You know, and then I get 50 cents left. That means I can maybe play the game twice, or maybe I can continue one time. You know, and so you kind of like strategize like how you'd be able to play that game. It was the same in the bowling alleys. You do the same thing.
Oh yeah, like on hot dogs $1.75.
Yeah.
You get like 5 quarters back.
How do I make sure I can actually play like a couple of games? And so I remember sucking. I mean, I remember getting killed really quick because it's like you have no time to learn. You know, it's just you're just thrown into it. You know.
Yeah.
So and it's like, when was the last time you in '95 or '94 that you actually used a twin stick? Nobody ever did. You know.
Yeah.
So you were trying to figure out the controls, and by that time you were already dead.
I know. You're like, what the fuck is this shit? 2 joysticks?
Yeah. So but that was. I tie my memory to Smash TV to the roller rink and kind of, that teen, like, they're not teen, like 10, 11 years old and, maybe even 12, like just getting into like girls at that time, like just being like, oh damn.
Let me find out.
I'm going through puberty. This is this is a whole other world called girls, So that was kind of my memory of Smash. It reminds me of kind of that nascent sort of just coming out of being turning into a man, so to speak. I'm a man. Smash TV for me. So, but yeah, I think it's it's a fun title. It's one that doesn't get talked about a lot, and there's a lot of games out there, but it's a great title.
You just want a fun game to play for. Yeah. I'm assuming it's probably like. Maybe an hour or 2, maybe around there, probably to beat the whole game.
Yeah, and I think
it's probably 2 hours.
It's fun enough where it can be a game that is in your library that you.
Oh yeah, you can definitely go back to. Play, yeah.
And you've got a buddy over, and you want to really have some fun with a 2-player game. I mean, that's the other thing.
It's like a different kind of game as opposed to just like a first-person shooter. You're playing with each other.
But we didn't mention, and I love like 2-player co-op. This is an opportunity to do another like 2-player co-op game.
Yeah.
But the enemy count, I don't think changes whether you have 1 player or 2 players. So it really helps. It really helps to have that second player because they really.
Yeah, you're probably right.
They really kind of help clear the board when you've got 2 characters shooting than if you only have 1. I noticed it seemed like way more difficult when you had one player character. So, but yeah, so hopefully this was educational for you guys. You were able to learn a little bit about Smash TV
and reminisce
on some memories. Got to pick up Versus the World now. WCW Versus the World.
Top of the list right now.
Yeah. That and Quake 2.
That and groceries.
Yeah. But with that, everybody, thank you guys for joining us. Be safe, be happy, be healthy, and as always, keep it turbo.